A bar where drug dealers hung out.
Everyone selling drugs in Philly had to pay a tax to a group led by Ron Harvey and Sam Christian, members of Nation of Islam Temple Number 12. One of Frank Matthews' biggest customers, Tyrone Mr. Millionaire Palmer, was gunned down on Easter Sunday at an Atlantic City nightclub in a quintuple homicide that included 3 women and his bodyguard.
It was on an Easter Sunday morning. We was getting ready to leave out of there when he got killed. We had just left from that area when Fat Ty, they call him.
Despite hundreds of witnesses, no one would make a statement to the police. And Fat Ty wasn't the only Frank Matthews lieutenant killed down in Philadelphia. In the murder of an underworld figure named Major Coxon, a murder that saw his teenage stepdaughter killed alongside him, the police themselves seemed frightened.
Do you fear for his life?
I fear for my own and everybody's real.
We hate ourselves.
That's right.
Because of the teaching and the training of our slave masters, who put one of us against the other.
Eventually, many of the key members of the Philly Black Mafia were convicted of a shocking crime that finally put them out of business.
Yet the quiet was shattered here at a house once owned by basketball star Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, previously known as Lou Alcindor. Police ambulances shuttled back and forth, taking away the bodies, 7 in all. 5 children ranging in age from 9 days to 11 years, and 2 adults. 4 of the children were drowned, the others shot in what may have been a feud between warring Muslim sects.
Multiple Philly Black Mafia members were convicted of murdering 7 women and small children. Victims were Sunni Muslims, whose leader was an outspoken critic of Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam.
It's been the most heinous crime that I've witnessed in my 19 years on the police department.
Basketball star Abdul-Jabbar discounted a religious war theory for the murder of his friends. I can only suspect lunatics, he said.
Does life imitate art or art imitate life? Or was there something more sinister at play in the 1960s?
Medusa lived with a hideous curse. I mean, the whole turning people to stone thing was a bit of a buzzkill, right? So she ordered sunglasses with Prime, 1-day delivery. Clever girl. People realise she's actually hilarious once you get to know her. Ugh, as if... Well, he was asking for it. Prime changed everything.
Your son is sick. I can help you.
The most gripping show on TV is available to watch anytime.
If anything happens to me, swear my son will be safe.
The Cleaning Lady, all new Mondays on Fox or anytime on Fox Now or Hulu.
Are you kidding me? I'm getting sick of the industry. Oh, please.
These thugs wanna kill me, but I won't let it. And I try to give them hell, but they don't get it. So I tell myself when I sleep at night, don't lose sight, baby, don't lose sight. This life will get you down, but I keep living. So I tell myself when I sleep at night, don't lose sight, baby, don't lose sight.
At Drive Time, we approve 99% of people who apply, and we show you your real down payment.
And your real monthly payment.
Right, I almost forgot.
So I can get approved on my phone and see my real down payment. And your real monthly payment.
Yep, we get it, Tim.
Do you get it, Deb?
Yes. In basically 30 seconds, you can get approved and see your real down payment.
And your real monthly payment.
And your monthly payment.
And your monthly payment, all on your phone.
Wow.
That's a lot.
I like it.
Get your down payment, monthly payment, and find the car you need all on your phone. Get the real deal at drivetime.com.
Seeing people who had an admiration for the criminal element admiring crooks.
Patrolmen who work in high crime areas say part of the problem is that some people, especially among the young, admire the criminals. Drug pushers, procurers, killers are considered heroes of sorts. A slum kid may grow up thinking the quickest way to rise above the slum, to get rich, to be somebody, is to be an outlaw.
Look, we're going to take that $300,000. We're going to buy 30 keys of coke, man. The best shit in town. Rocks and lumps as big as marbles. No cut.
How is it that the heroes of the black community went from being groups like the Black Panthers to being pimps and pushers like Superfly and the Mac in just a few short years?
White man comes with a gun. He's going to know the same thing can happen to him that he's going to do to the black man. He can die.
That nigga wanted the honey. All we want is the money.
But they make us dream about owning a Rolls Royce and an Eldorado, Superfly, Shaft in Harlem, Shaft in Africa, Shaft meeting with the Jews. Today, we have the movie industry saturating the black mentality with a death wish.
Eddie probably sent thousands of kids to college and paid thousands of people's mortgages and invested in and kept hundreds of African-American businesses afloat. Because let's be honest, when Chase Bank or Bank of America or Comerica isn't going to give you that small business loan, who do you go to?
And he probably didn't even ask for it back.
And he didn't ask for it back, and what he definitely didn't ask you for a credit score.
The black man want ownership. He want to be able to own his own things and make up his own mind.
When you're around other people of a certain economic level, the people don't pass judgment.
Because who knows what they're doing?
You got the jeweler down the street. He's doing all types of things. The banker is dealing with all kinds of individuals. And I'm just going to throw it out there. You know, people take it how they want to take it. You know, only poor people got the time to make moral judgments.
They dealt heroin and cocaine, and many of them trafficked like they had immunity from arrest.
A federal grand jury is looking into alleged drug payoffs within the Detroit Police Department. Yesterday, the police chief was fired the day a deputy chief, once a member of the narcotics unit, was found shot to death.
Harville, a 21-year veteran of the force, had been reportedly linked to the investigation, which centers on several police officials and one precinct. He was found in a second-floor bathroom, dead of 2 gunshot wounds in the chest.
New York was so rife with officers being involved because of my undercover prowess. I was selected to go back and work on a Governor Mayor Lenz's task force.
An important piece for the puzzle of crime in America is something you don't hear about much in the mainstream media: police corruption. But of course, how could whole sections of cities be turned into open-air drug markets without the police knowing about it? Political corruption allowed drugs into America, and police corruption allowed them to be sold on the streets with impunity for the chosen few who knew the right people to pay off and bribe.
This, according to the Knapp Commission investigators who filmed it, is a New York City policeman getting paid off, taking bribe money. The commission confronted him with the evidence and got him to agree to be an undercover agent. He was also the first witness at this week's public hearings. It wasn't just him, he said, it was everybody.
What percentage of the plainclothesmen assigned to the division, to the 6th Division at that time, do you feel participated in the pad?
Everyone to my knowledge.
Everyone?
Everyone.
John Sutton's observation that the major dealers were running their drug business with impunity is borne out by this story about how Eddie Jackson, already under indictment for running Detroit's biggest drug ring, was caught red-handed with a large shipment of heroin and used his power over the legal system to get away scot-free.
Eddie, driving actually my mom's car, Eldorado, had a bright idea, which was completely out of the business model to do this. They had carriers whose job it was to go to New York to do these things. Call it a long night, maybe a party that went way, way too out of control. But Eddie and 5-0 decided to go to New York. They go to New York, they see the connect. When he pops the trunk, he finds the contraband. He finds the 11 bricks of heroin, the 3 bricks of cocaine. But now Eddie's got a double problem. So he's already under federal indictment for the major conspiracy case, which everybody went down on. And now he has a new case, a possession case in Pennsylvania. Well, there was a judge running for the Pennsylvania Supreme Court that our attorneys, or their attorneys, knew. Milton told Eddie, if you made a sizable contribution to this gentleman's campaign and he was to win, he guarantees us that your case will get heard by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Eddie gives my old man, I believe it was $30,000-$40,000, which he donated to this judge's campaign. That said judge won his election to become a judge on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Eddie's case went to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and it was dismissed due to an illegal search and seizure. True story.
I mean, they may be colorful, they may be glamorous, they may give turkeys on Thanksgiving, they may support a Little League baseball team, but they're selling a substance that's going to kill your child or your grandchild.
You know, you ask yourself questions like tobacco. How many people died last year from tobacco when we started talking about the moral value of what Eddie Jackson and others do? I'm not condoning what they do. What I'm simply saying is that there are many on that playing field. And so when we demonize one group and then another group, we just kind of smile and look the other way.
There's lots of Little League sports, lots of summer camp, sailing camp, horseback riding camp. So we kind of went on vacation, sometimes two vacations a month. Half my family came out of the projects, so of course our house and our home was a beacon of hope and just some good times. It seemed natural to us, that, to me at least, that your dad came home with duffel bags full of money every night, but beyond that, it was really not that different. It really wasn't that different.
Consensus was that drugs were in the black community and they were unmanageable. So as a consequence, nothing very much was done. And as a result, we had even law enforcement officers involved because nobody really cared.
6 weeks ago in Harlem, Black Panthers seized large quantities of heroin from drug peddlers and poured it into the street. They refused to turn it over to police because they insisted police would only resell it to the pushers.
One occasion I was dealing drugs, and they came and took all my drugs and just let me go.
Who's they?
The police.
In the summer of '73, the biggest kingpin of them all, Frank Matthews, jumped bail and fled the United States. He's never been seen since. In fact, when Clinton Shorty Buse, a well-known Baltimore native who appeared in The Wire on HBO, died several years ago, the DEA lined the route to the cemetery with Frank Matthews' wanted posters. Frank Matthews isn't the only black kingpin of his day to disappear. Eddie Jackson's original supplier in Detroit, John Klassen, also fled when indicted by the DEA and has never been found.
American involvement in Vietnam has been constant and costly.
When the Vietnam War was in progress, there was a big availability of heroin, white heroin that was purer than the heroin that was coming in from Europe and from Mexico.
A narcotics researcher testified today that Indochina's heroin traffic is tied directly to South Vietnamese leaders and to foreign gangsters. Alfred W. McCoy, a Yale graduate student, told a Senate subcommittee that South Vietnam's heroin and opium traffic is divided between the political organizations of President Thieu, former Vice President Nguyen Cao Ky, and Premier Tran Tien Kim. In fact, said McCoy, Key's sister buys heroin in Laos, has it shipped to Cambodia, where it's picked up and flown to Saigon by planes of the Vietnamese 5th Air Division. McCoy said military leaders throughout Southeast Asia are mixed up in the illegal drug traffic, including some who work for the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency.
They were selling drugs, and they started getting customers all over the place. In my undercover work, I went up to Salt Lake City, and I learned that there were only like 250 blacks in the whole town of Salt Lake City at the time. And I worked undercover up there and found out that it was the blacks that had all of the heroin up there in Salt Lake City. And I went into a place there in Salt Lake City that was like a shit house. We had about 20 people inside of there, and it was a shooting gallery. And there were a couple of guys on the sofa and on the nod. One guy, you could see blood dripping out of his. Undercover agent came in out of Philadelphia, and he set up for 2 kilograms of heroin at the hotel out at L.A. International Airport. So we surveilled it. We thought it was a joke that a black guy was going to deliver 2 kilograms of heroin. So we see this big Cadillac drive up, and this guy jumps out like Superfly. He and another guy. 2 Mexicans pull up in a car, and we see a blonde that comes down from the room.